So basically, Monica, what you're saying is that you punish your kids when they're sick. Got it. It's like, lady, they don't really have a choice. I mean, you're not giving them any options, really. Okay, so I feel like it's very rare for a video to go completely viral and every single person in the comment section agrees with each other. Normally, if you have, millions of views, tons of comments, hundreds of thousands of comments, there's going to be people with differing opinions, some people arguing, some different hot takes, but not with today's video. This one is a unanimous agreement. So picture this, you're pregnant, you're working full time, you're exhausted, and honestly, the one day of the year you're asking for a little bit of recognition is your birthday. That's it, the bare minimum. But when that day rolls around, your husband completely forgets that it's your birthday. That's what today's about. And this woman who we're going to be talking about, whose birthday was forgotten, she documents the entire day. And the way that she responded to the viralness of this video is actually not what I expected at all. And we're going to get into that too. But also, while scrolling last night, I came across another video that made me so mad, but it wasn't long enough to make into a full video, but I knew I had to talk about it. It's definitely a different situation than a husband forgetting his pregnant wife's birthday, but the wild part is, just like the first video, just like the video about the birthday, everyone in the comments is in total agreement with the second video too. So you do not want to miss this one because I think it's going to make you angry too. So grab a drink and get cozy and let's get right into the video. Okay, so a creator named Haley Brooks posted a video documenting her not so great birthday. In the captions, she wrote her expectations for her birthday and that she has always had these same expectations. And that was breakfast in bed, early mornings with a warm bath ready, time to get herself ready without the kids on her, a manicure, and then items off of a wish list that she sent her husband so that he's not, getting stuff that she doesn't like or, wasting money on things that she's not going to use. It seems like a pretty simple, pretty clear list, right? Well, somehow her husband still managed to miss the mark. And not just by a little. Not just by a little. He fell short big time. So that was part one of the video, but you probably saw the end. She said that around 5:30, he texted her saying, "Hey, I'm running a little bit late. I have to grab a surprise for you." So I'm sure in her head, she's thinking, okay, maybe he didn't actually forget my birthday. I mean, they've been together for over a decade at this point. So maybe he's just, laying it up and he's about to pull off some big surprise or something like that. So of course, I'm sure she had a little bit of hope, a little bit of excitement. But that excitement, unfortunately, did not last long. Yeah, it was a pizza. All that buildup, all that suspense, and that big surprise was him literally just showing up with a pizza.
Just please leave. I don't even want to look at you.
Not very big pizza either for all the people that were going to be eating it. And the kicker was that it wasn't even meant as a birthday surprise. Because again, he forgot her birthday. It was just his way of saying, hey, I know I've been stressed lately, but I'm here for you. Which, okay, any other random day of the week, great, even sweet. But on his wife's birthday, absolutely not. And watching her reaction was actually heartbreaking. She just looks so defeated. Like, this is a very pregnant mom of 2, working full time, mind you. She works full time and her husband stays home with the kids. So she is exhausted on a day-to-day basis as is. And she deserves way more than some sad little pizza. She deserves more than a warm bath and a manicure on a regular day of the week, let alone on her birthday. And she didn't get any of that because her husband forgot. So in that video's caption, she was replying to a comment on the first video that said, "This is why I stay single." Replied, "Facts, be single, a lesbian, or choose someone who understands your love language because this sucks." She actually ended up turning the comments off on both of the videos, saying it was just too overwhelming for her and the baby, but that she pretty much agreed with what everyone was saying. She just couldn't sit there and scroll, 500 plus comments per hour, which fair. From what I saw, though, the general consensus was basically saying, leave him, you deserve better. And then there were a handful of comments that were basically saying he must be cheating. Haley did post a follow-up video explaining where her head's at and where things stand with her husband right now. And I'm going to show you that video here in a minute, but honestly, what struck me with that video was that she didn't defend him. And we just talked about this recently on my channel, actually. It's very common on social media for someone to post a video of their spouse doing something kind of crappy, and in this situation, really crappy. But then the second that the internet says, yeah, that's really crappy, says things about the spouse, the person who posted the video gets really defensive and kind of, you don't know the full story. He's actually amazing. This is just a one-time thing. But Haley didn't do that. She did not sugarcoat what her husband did. And honestly, it was kind of refreshing to see her just acknowledge that, yes, his behavior was bad.
Good morning, guys. First, I want to say thank you so much in terms of you were really sweet to me and asking about wishes. I don't need anything. I really don't. I was just very much in my feelings yesterday, and I'm not the one to go on here and defend anybody if they're in the wrong. My husband was 100% in the wrong for not making my birthday special at all. Like, even just being attentive. So no, I'm not going to defend him. He slept in a dusty shed last night, and he probably will all week. He needs to change, and he needs to recognize that. I think that video was honestly the punishment he needed because y'all are vicious. I had to turn off the comments, not so much to defend him because he is in the wrong, but some people do take it a bit too far with what they say. I mean, it's just like really bad far. But it's more so for my own well-being, carrying a child. I woke up to like hundreds of comments, and I just want to make sure that they're not like so extreme, and I don't have the time. I work full-time right now. I don't have the chance to just scroll through all of that. So I'll probably have the comments open at some point, but it's just not right now. And it's not always black and white, just divorce, leave, especially when you have kids. Yes, that continues, and that's going to be the norm now, because no, I didn't marry him like that. He was actually very attentive and thoughtful, even though he's never been good at giving gifts. It was the thought and the time that mattered to me. But this year was a whole new low. That was crappy. I work full time, and my husband's the one with the kids. If I had to give that up, thankfully, financially, I'm fine. And I recommend everybody having that financial security, male, female, whoever. I think that's really important. So important in situations where they're in danger or somebody actually does like cheat. In this situation, I know what's going on. It's not that, but if it was, I would for sure go. But if I decided to separate, that means I would have to go from 3 10-hour shifts to probably 5 days a week. Expensive. It's like $3,000 for 2 kids nowadays in this area. And one's in preschool, and unfortunately schools don't really accommodate to a single parent or even working parents very well. Like, they start at weird times and end at weird times. So it's hard. It would make my life a lot harder. So really it's not all that easy. I'm not just forgetting and forgiving. Like, he needs to do his part. I expect that fully. If he wants to move forward. And it's not just his birthday. And there's plenty of issues he needs to work on it, and so do I. I do understand that. I am vicious, especially when pregnant. I am hormonal. I have pregnancy rage all the things. So there are things I need to work on, and I will take ownership of that. But there's no reason he should have made me feel that way on my birthday, or really any day. This is his warning, because I know he's watching this from our backyard shed, where he will continue to be until he gets his crap together. But I do want to thank you guys for looking out for me. He got a huge consequence with just your commentary, and that's why I turned it off, because it just got a little too extreme, and mostly just for my overall being for this baby right now. It's just a lot. But thank you guys for making me, for the most part, feel really special on my day.
The comments on this video are on, and they are really supportive of Haley. One person said, please don't gaslight yourself. Birthdays are special, your ones are valid, and are easy to make happen if someone tries. Another comment said, so glad that you weren't defending his behavior and understand you deserve better. One of the top comments said, it's okay, forget his birthday. Christmas presents for him, Father's Day, make zero effort.
Good morning, everybody. So I wanted to come on here while the fire is hot. There's a lot of views and attention to the videos of my husband forgetting my birthday, and I'm hoping this helps others who may be going through a situation that may be similar to mine. But a comment I have gotten every once in a while, which is super valid, was, you pick this person to marry, or you choose to have kids with this person, which you're right, I did. That is where I want to come to the next point, that yes, I picked somebody, but a lot can happen, and even a short or long duration in life. Life doesn't bias, and it throws curveballs. And a situation maybe I was even in 7-8 months ago could be totally different than what it is now. Things such as, and I'm not saying these all apply to me by any means, I'm just giving examples, but addiction, mental health issues, for men usually around like college age to their 30s, it's actually pretty common for issues to arise. Even, accidents, car accidents, stroke, traumatic brain injury, grief, loss of a job, uncontrollable factors that happen, and it's not going to bias. I don't care how great the person is that you married. Life is going to, every once in a while, just throw something at you, whether it's with you or your partner or your child, and I wish it upon nobody at all, because it's hell. And right now, I know people saw this video and was like, oh, he's insensitive, and I'm not justifying. I mean, he was being super insensitive that day, 100%. But there is underlying stuff that I know about. I'm not going to justify it, and it would almost be easier if, you're married to somebody who's just insensitive, a jerk, who cheated. Not that it's easier, I shouldn't say easier, but it would be easier to make that decision to leave compared to if it's one of those uncontrollable factors where you do have a little bit of empathy with it. Of course, cancer is a totally different situation than something like you have surgery and you get opioids and you get hooked on them and you're choosing to keep taking them. People have their own thoughts on addiction being a disease, but two different scenarios, and it's like, where do you draw the line? You say in sickness and health when you get married. Do you say how much of the sickness? Of course, if it's cancer, you're going to go the whole way. I mean, you shouldn't just leave your partner once they get sick, but is that the case with all sicknesses? Or is it only when they get to the point where they start neglecting their spouse financially, emotionally? Is it when they start being aggressive, or the kids start picking up on it? Like, where is the line? Where is it? My whole heart goes out to anybody who experiences something like this, where there's just something you can't make them change no matter how much you love them and how much you try. They have to want the change. But I think social media needs to show the struggles people face so people don't feel so alone. It's hard when that person that you care so much about is still there somewhere, but they're struggling with something. You do see success stories, you see recovery stories, you see people go to therapy and get better. I mean, you do see some of these stories, so it's like, how much do you go and try to help before it's like, you gotta prioritize yourself. And I mean, I could be subject to it one day. I mean, anybody could. It's hard. It's like the shell of the person you care about. Like you're married to somebody with Alzheimer's. I don't like to compare it exactly, but like you get little blips of them, little pockets of them where it's like, wow, they're back. And then the next minute it's gone, they're gone. And you don't really know what to expect, and it changes the human from the inside out. Like when people suffer with stuff, it can just change them in terms of honesty and just their personality, just completely change their demeanor and who they are, at least in that time frame they're either on it or going through whatever. So I want to use this situation to hopefully help somebody who may be going through what I might be going through to an extent, because it's hard and nobody should do it alone. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you got to be the strong one, even in situations where most people, this would be like one of the hardest points of their life. They've got to be strong. But thank you guys for listening and being a great support and listening ear, and just know you're not alone. It sucks, but just take it day by day, and we'll see where it goes. But thanks for following along and just supporting these videos. That honestly means the most to me, because it helps me out in a time where I'm not getting too much help, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes I can to help in this time frame without losing myself in the process. But at some point there is gonna be a line, and I have to understand that, and I got to figure out where that line is. So, all right, you guys have a great day.
I do feel really bad for Haley. It's a terrible situation no matter what, but especially being that she's pregnant. That makes it 10 times harder, I'm sure. And she's right. It's not as simple as saying, you know what? Yeah, you guys are right. I'm going to leave him. And the fact that she even went into that much detail about the why, it tells me that she likely has already thought about it, which is honestly heartbreaking in its own way. I do hope that this ends up just being the wake-up call that her husband clearly needs. I mean, this isn't some private matter anymore. Like I said, 10 million plus people have seen the video. So if watching your pregnant wife absolutely gutted on her birthday because you forgot about it isn't enough, maybe public humiliation will be. Either way, I do hope that he figures it out, treats her better, because nobody deserves to feel that kind of disappointment from the person who is supposed to love them most. I'm definitely going to leave her TikTok account in the video's description on here if you want to go support her, follow her, leave her some likes. But let's move on to the second video, the bonus video I wanted to add into this video. I came across this video scrolling on TikTok last night and it made me mad. So first, to set up the premise of this video, I want you to think back to when you were a kid and you had to stay home from school because you were sick. It was miserable, sure, but there were always those little comforts that made it a little bit easier. Maybe some chicken noodle soup, ginger ale, and of course, a stack of TV shows or movies to binge on. Maybe for you, it was either random episodes of Mari or a Disney movie on repeat. Like that was just the universal sick day routine, right? I thought, at least. But then I saw this video. I'm gonna show it to you right now. When I tell you that made my blood boil, I'm not exaggerating. So her kid has a fever. Like, she's actually sick, very sick, and this mother's rules are no screen time whatsoever when her kid has a 102-degree fever. Instead, she has to lay there in silence because, according to this mom, if you're too sick for school, you're too sick for anything. And I'm sorry, not sorry, but that type of logic makes me so mad. Like, this triggered more of a response in me than the usual nonsense that I see scrolling on TikTok, which says something, I think. But let's read what Monica, this mom, this creator, said in her caption and see if we can maybe wrap our minds around it and come to a better understanding of why she's doing this. So she said, hate when they are sick, but it happens. She is really sick, fever of 102, but when they are sick, they need mommy cuddles and rest, not electronics. But mommy cuddles are better than TV anyway. I didn't get to watch TV if I stayed home from school either, and I turned out fine. My parents trusted that I was really not feeling good and knew I wasn't going to be made to. And yes, reading is allowed still, but mostly they just want to be with me. So basically, Monica, what you're saying is that you punish your kids when they're sick. Got it. But funny how those rules don't apply to you, because you still get to whip out your phone, film your child lying there sick and miserable in a dark basement, and then blast it out to hundreds of thousands of strangers online. Cool, love that for you. But yeah, all the comments were in total agreement. Someone said, I cannot imagine punishing my baby for being sick. Another person said, I'm going to call my mom today and thank her for not doing this. Same. Actually, my mom watches my video, so thank you, Mom, for not doing this. Someone else said, can't relate. McDonald's for breakfast? Sure. Jerry Springer? Only on sick days. Soup? I got you, baby. Warm tubby, coming right up. Being sick isn't a crime. Not providing comfort and support when someone is vulnerable is. Exactly. And I'm not sure why she can't get mommy cuddles while also watching a movie. But Monica doubled down big time after being called out for, let's be honest, being a cold mother. And I don't say that lightly, but it's cold behavior, what she's doing. I'm all for screen time limits, boundaries with screen times, all of that. But what I'm not okay with is punishing kids for being sick when they have no control over being sick. But anyway, though, Monica doubled down and somehow made it all about her. She said, when people throw hate for doing cuddles instead of electronics when your kids are sick, it's okay. The only acceptance I need is for my kids. And when they are sick, cuddles and mommy is all they want. So I'm doing something right in their eyes. It's like, lady, they don't really have a choice. I mean, you're not giving them any options, really. But anyway, Monica went off on a tangent, basically saying, raise your babies how you think is right. And she went on to saying, my videos of not allowing electronics during sick days from school got immediate hate. Punishing my kids for being sick They said, "My kids get all the cuddles and comfort from me, and the puppies like to cuddle too. At the end of the day, each parent does what they feel is best for their kids. I know I'm doing it right for us. My kids are happy and they know they are loved. They have my trust and I have theirs, even when they don't have a fever, but tell me they are sick, they still get to stay home and rest. If telling a parent they are doing something wrong for simply not doing electronics, go ahead. But I'm going to keep being positive and loving on my baby instead of pushing electronics on them." Eye rolls. Pushing electronics? What is this lady even talking about? Yeah, anyway, the comments were not in her favor again. Someone said the comments to like ratio should tell you everything, which at the time that I was looking at this, I think it was 19 likes and 200 and some comments, which yeah, that should tell you a lot. But Monica continued doubling down. Someone said, how does her sitting there bored because she is too sick for physical play help her get better? Monica said, "I'm glad you know anything at all about my kids or kids in general. I'm guessing you don't have kids if you think school-age kids don't need affection from their parents." Which, Monica, no one said that. No one said that. But you can give your kids affection and not have it where they are sitting there miserable with nothing else to do but focus on how miserable they're feeling. I mean, when you're really sick and you wish you could sleep. You wish you could sleep off the sickness and just not have to think about it, but your body won't let you sleep anymore because you already have slept more than you usually do. But you can't do anything, really. Yeah, that's when you rest by laying on the couch and watching TV. That's the best time to watch TV because you have nothing else you can do and you just don't want to focus on being sick anymore. Someone else said, "You didn't say that though." And then Monica said, "I did in the description. I literally spent less than a minute on the video and I'll admit it's not the best. TikTok hasn't pushed my stuff out and I threw a quick daily out. You never know when it will actually get anywhere." But clearly she's not a which again, nobody said she was. Nobody said that. But Monica just kept going off in the comments, basically insisting that she was not punishing her daughter and it was that her daughter just needed rest to get over her fever. And nobody was agreeing with her, which I was really glad to see that no one is agreeing with her because most parents know that the goal when your kid is sick isn't to make it harder on them, it's to make them as comfortable as possible. Nobody chooses to get sick. And when you are sick, all you really want is some form of comfort. And for most people, you get comfort when you just get to like cuddle up on the couch and watch some TV. It's not that serious. It's not going to cause brain rot to watch some TV or to let your kid watch some TV when they're sick. And here's my question. Does Monica apply these same rules to herself? Like when she's sick, does she lock up her phone, ban the TV, and just sit there in silence? Because if not, then it doesn't seem very fair to me. Anyway, though, let me know your thoughts on both of these videos. What would you do if you were the wife in the first one? And also tell me what your go-to show when you were sick as a kid or even now. I'm always looking for good shows. If you were sick today, what would be the show that you would binge? Let me know. As always, thanks so much for being here. Give this video a thumbs up and I'll see you guys in my next video.